Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can see me. I hope there is someone actually there because, it's Friday. Some of you probably have better things to do. Let's see if this starts. Now, that will be perfect. Yes, perfect. I can hear myself. I think that's good enough. How are you guys doing? Yeah, it's Friday. This is the last sprint for the week. I will do some stuff. I have to do some thinking about the pirates video. I recorded a version of it yesterday. It's uploaded already on YouTube. I need to, finish the bits and pieces that need to be done, like come up with a title, come up with a description, add the thumbnail, add it to a playlist, all of that stuff, and then of course, publish it and spread the link around, all of those things, and that's something I will do during sprints, unless I decide that I should re-record it, which is a bit of a tough choice there, but we'll see. Hey Ori, how are you doing? Good morning. So yeah, that's something I need to think about because I recorded it yesterday. I wasn't feeling well yesterday in general, like physically not well for whatever reason. I'm better now, so that's good. But I recorded it yesterday, and I feel like it's okay as a video. Obviously, some things went wrong because some things always go wrong, but the question is whether the video is too vague for what I could be talking about, whether it makes sense to talk about more, and just the insecurity I always have with these kind of videos when I take something far too seriously. And the problem is, of course, that The Pirates by George MacDonald Fraser is not exactly a well-known book in this day and age. Unfortunately, it's like 42 years old, and the number of people who have read it and watched YouTube is probably under 10, maybe slightly over. I don't know. So the question is usually like, how do you approach that kind of book, and what do you talk about, and how specific do you get, or are you trying to make like a broader point about the things that the book is trying? Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure what about that. It's also like a very hard book to talk about, so that's partly the problem there as well. And maybe I should have added that part, for example, to the video, that the problem is with parody of that specific sort that the Pirates does. It relies on the audience to have an understanding of the thing that is parodied and poked fun at, and that also requires sort of like that context for any discussion of the book afterwards, and that makes it very difficult to do a book review. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should just like leave it the way it is and move on, because, as I said, I suspect it's not going to do particularly well as even for one of my videos, because who cares, right? Oh, I have not read that review. I don't even know where to find that, because it's one of the things I've learned is that it's really difficult to find sort of like serious or somewhat more detailed reviews of or discussions of older books in general. It's certainly something I've realized with these recent pirate books, right? It's very difficult to find a sort of like more detailed, more nuanced review of On Stranger Tides, uh, which is from '87, and it's very difficult to find one for the Pirates as well. It's even difficult to find like nuanced takes on fucking Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, which annoyed me no end, because the only one that I could find was a very conservative Muslim writing a long text around how the book fails in its portrayal of Islam because it includes it's and is accepting of a trans character, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's not 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 the kind of like I mean, it's interesting to see that perspective, but it's if that's the only thing we find beyond Goodreads reviews and a few gushing like this is so much fun adventure things were published on, I think, New York Times or whatever, right? If that's the only thing we have, then we're kind of fucked when it comes to like serious discussion of modern books. Hey Britton, how are you doing? I will Google Rich Horton and pirates. That sounds like a good idea. It's okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if a summary is really helpful there because the plot is insanely convoluted, which is partly the point of the story, right? Of the book, right? Because pirate stories are often very convoluted. The plot for On Stranger Tides is also insanely convoluted because you need to get all of those things, and you have, to have your ghost ship, and you have to have your sea battle, and you have your like big chandelier swinging swashbuckling scene. And ideally, you also have to have your character stranded on an island for a while, and you have to have all of this. Yeah, which leads to these very convoluted plots. I mean, when you look at even like the very very like modernized and streamlined stuff like the first Pirates of the Caribbean, even that one, even Curse of the Black Pearl, which I would argue is a fairly good movie, in a lot of ways. Even that one has a very convoluted plot that just goes in different ways than a lot of like modern movies would otherwise go. And I think that's there's something there. And the Pirates does obviously turn that up to 11 because what it does is parody through the medium of exaggeration. And yeah. Hello, Mattia. Oh, so you're still sick. I am sorry to hear that. Well, to be fair, Landsman's been in trouble from the beginning of the novel, right? It's not exactly a big surprise, but I assume you're getting closer to the end now, I guess? Has he found out about the rehab center now, or where are you now at this point? So yeah, and that's just like a general thing with the pirates that it's difficult to find it like a more nuanced discussion, which is a shame because the book does ve- work really well as a critique and sort of a specific form of pirate tale, and in that regard, deconstructs it fairly well, and probably as such explains why pirate movies stopped basically being made or being successful in the 60s and 70s, and why you don't get like a lot of 80s and 90s pirate movies. There was one with a female pirate that apparently flopped massively and ruined the careers of a lot of people in the early 90s. I keep forgetting the name. It came up in one of the academic things I read about pirates, and in like an essay on pirate women in movies, and how the depiction of pirates changed between that one and whatever her name is in the Keira Knightley character in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I keep forgetting which one, the other one was. It called Island of Skulls? Something really cheesy. And it was like early 90s, and apparently it flopped massively and just like had like lost a ton of money. But beyond that, like I feel like what's interesting there is that the classic pirate story, as told through the ages, really sort of like stopped being interesting, viable, or in any way like accessible to people around the 1980s, 90s. And you could probably argue that maybe this has something to do with the sort of like success of corporate neoliberalism in a lot of ways. The way that the pirate sequence in Monty Python's, what's it? Is it Meaning of Life? I think it's in Meaning of Life, or is it in a different one where the insurance company decides to become a pirate, become pirates, and all of that. It's been ages since I watched that movie. You could probably argue that that's sort of like the first step of dealing with pirates in an age of, neoliberal capitalism, and it never went anywhere, which is a bit of a shame because you could probably do something around that, piracy and neoliberalism, but we didn't. And then we just turned a ride in a theme park into a movie because clearly content, content doesn't matter anymore. Ah, okay. Well, laziness is not a sickness, no matter what Calvinists tell you. So yeah, I guess you're getting to the final sort of like what the part in Yiddish Policemen's Union then when Landsman starts to figure out what is actually going on, and then we get to that point where the noir police story suddenly turns into a very important political commentary, which is what all good noir should do. Yeah, although ninjas also never really got that big on when it comes to like mainstream like blockbuster movies or anything, right? Like ninjas are big in nerd culture, I agree, but ninjas, and you had the whole like pirates versus ninjas thing for a while. It's like ninjas never sort of like managed to become the thing that reached the level of popularity that arguably pirate stories did have in the 50s and 60s with with the Errol Flynn stuff in the 40s and 50s, and what's the Red Corsair or whatever that one was called that I watched in one of the classic sneak things at a local cinema years ago. But I don't think ninjas ever reached that, possibly because being very heavily Japanese coded, they didn't have the cultural cachet that uh, pirate stories for a long time had, where you could, project your either Britishness or your Americanness onto those Anglo-Saxon pirates fighting the terrible Spanish or whoever else, which is one of the things that I find really well done in The Pirates by George MacDonald Fraser, in how through the medium of excessive racism he very much manages to expose at least the inherent sort of like imperialist and racist undertones of a lot of like popular pirate fiction, where you always have your very white, very either British or very American coded, and you can obviously switch that if you're doing this from like a more like waspy perspective, right? How those pirates are always fighting the degenerate Spanish and so forth, and then you add like all the other racism on top of that, and the pirates it is very racist, um, uh, but because it is making it very clear where that racism comes from, it is racist against everyone: the French, the Irish, the Spanish, black people, people from different parts of Asia. It's which I think is a good thing in that regard. It still obviously makes it hard to read if you are sensitive to those kind of things, because as as I said before, it does do parody and deconstruction through exaggeration, and that can make it very hard to read. But I think it's valuable in that it showcases that specific aspect of it, and I think yeah, you can't identify yourself with a ninja if you are supposed to be a good American kid in the 1950s or 60s or 70s, and not even in the 80s when everyone is just scared of Japan suddenly taking over economically and so forth. So I think ninjas always had a bit harder, a bit rougher time in that regard. Probably, possibly with the cultural victory of manga and anime, I guess we would have like ninjas would be or could be more successful nowadays in a lot of ways. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Then you're past the rehab center episode. I guess that's a good thing. Hey, good morning, Apollo. Yeah, exactly. They're mostly internet memes, in a lot of ways, ninjas at least. So yeah, that's why I'm not quite sure what to do with the pirates video. It also had like a lot of other stuff going wrong, like the monkey fell off my shoulder, so I had to do stuff with the monkey because I obviously can't just like reattach it to my shirt. Which is already, cruel to plush monkeys everywhere because the good thing with that specific like pirate shirt that I have is that it has, the sleeves are sort of like tied with cord, so I can sort of like put the tail of the monkey in the thing, so it stays sitting on my shoulder during the video, and yeah, that didn't work this time around, so that happened, and it's but maybe I should just put that video out, especially since later today, well, right after the sprints, basically, I have to go to the dentist and get my surgery thing figured out. And I don't know what that means for, you know, content creation, like videos or anything. Because I've never had like any dental surgery done, which is good. So I have no experience how long that will take, how much it'll hurt, all of that. I So I don't know if I'll be able to record a video tomorrow or on Sunday. I mean, obviously on Sunday I'll be down in the city because there's a large right-wing, anti-Nazi, whatever protest thing. I haven't looked at the details. A friend just said like, "Hey, Sunday anti-Nazi demo, a protest. Are you in?" And I'm like, "Of course I am." So that's something I will do on Sunday, no matter the tooth situation. Yes. So here's the thing. Like the last time when I broke off that tooth originally, which has been like 2017, I guess 2017, I think. Um, the root was just I don't know the technical term. Like they did something with the root of the tooth that just like basically killed it off, and that's that, but left it in and basically screwed in like a provisory tooth thing, and that provisory thing fell out. But it's apparently not possible to just do the same thing. So what they need to do is actually remove the root fully, and then I can either get a full implant, which is probably it is technically the better option, but also the way more expensive option, or they can basically put in like a new provisory with like a bridge over the the two teeth links left and right of the hole, and just like bridge the whole thing over. That's the slightly cheaper option, but still very expensive option. But that's apparently why the root now has to be fully removed, and that's what's happening today. So it is some form of invasive surgery. No, Mattia, I have no one helping me with filming usually. Which is certainly a restriction. Partly that's, I mean, I've done stuff where at least for like positioning the camera or whatever, my flatmate has helped me with that. But usually I just do this on my own. Partly that's, because asking people is always a bit difficult, and they have to have time and so forth. And also I'm incredibly insecure, and recording the video in front of a person that is actually there while I'm talking is fucking scary. Um, so that's certainly part of why I do this all on my own. I I should obviously, like, if I want to do stuff more, like if I want to improve the quality of videos, I should probably look into having people help me more with filming stuff, possibly with editing stuff. But that's the next step there. Well, I haven't looked into the details for that protest thing, and maybe that's something I should also do during during the first sprints. to find out what kind of protest kind of thing it is. But I try not to get into fights with Nazis. On the other hand, I'm not running away from fights with Nazis either, because that's not the kind of person I am. Also, what's the worst they can do? Knock out one of my teeth? I don't know. No, in all seriousness, so that's why I'm a bit insecure about that. Not insecure, but like um, I don't know how the tooth thing will go today. That's the point. So I don't know if I would be able to record or re-record the Pirates video tomorrow, for example. And I mean, obviously, I don't get the new implant in today, so I'm pretty sure. And I need to go back to my dentist. So I need to have like a new dentist appointment afterwards. And yeah, that won't happen before next week. So I'm pretty sure that I can probably record the video for Amina Al Sirafi next week if I want to. And then we'll see where all of that goes. No, I totally get that, Britain, and I assume, since it's all very much planned this far in advance, I assume it is very much the more like, let's go out and do an official protest kind of thing, and not the kind of thing where where people block roads so Nazis can't get through. And I assume it's going to be all very civilized and organized, and everyone will be, pat each other on the back and going like, look, we have so many people coming out against Nazis, so clearly we don't have to fear anything from the upcoming elections, right? Which sounds cynical, and I think it is cynical by a lot, on the part of a lot of people, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still worth going out and going like, hey, look, I am against this. I am part of I'm not just staying at home going, no, there's nothing I can do. So I mean, even symbolic acts do matter, and that's why I will do that on Sunday with a couple of friends. Yeah, I mean, the other part is that Marburg, where I live, is a very sort of like, it's a student city. It's a very relatively left-wing city. Like, Nazis don't actually have a lot of power within the city. It gets difficult in the countryside around Marburg, but in the city, it's all very very liberal to leftist. Leftish, I would argue. But speaking of all of that, shall we do that sprint thing where I try to come up with the title for the Pirates video and maybe find out what kind of protest it is on Sunday, and also, maybe read that Chris Horton video, a review of the Pirates. I think that sounds like a moderately smart plan. So let's do all of that, and I'll talk to you in 10 past the next hour. That sounds about right. And I am back. Hello again. I hope the two remaining people are still happy. That's what StreamYard, not StreamYard, Restream tells me how many people are watching. One of those things I only found out yesterday. Because, it's obviously very obvious if you just can see the entire screen, but if you have to go line by line by line with a screen reader through that kind of website, it's easy to ignore. So yeah, I did do most of the things I said. I did some readings, caught up with emails, comments, and all of that. I did read the Rich Horton review. Turns out I did in fact read it before. So yeah, and yes, that's about the most the most detailed thing I could find on the book online, which is sad. Yeah, could be. So yeah, and that's mostly what I did, and then I tried to come up with a cool title for the Pirates video, but I haven't. I At least I have put it put it into the playlist and added the thumbnail. So there's that. Um, yeah, I guess I should also see message a friend and see if they can pick me up after the dental thing, because it might be smart not to walk back to the bus stop and take a bus after getting some form of drug to be put under for that kind of like removal surgery. So I should probably do that. um, what else was there? Oh, and I this morning I watched a video by Daniel Green on his like regrets or what he learned from writing 4 books. Yeah, was good. I know I'm often very critical of booktubers, and I've certainly been critical of Daniel Green before, but like, yeah, that was a good video. And in general, I feel like over the last couple of months, Daniel Green has been on a sort of like slight course correction or whatever with his channel, and has added a couple of more uh, thoughtful. Is that the right word? Like more nuanced or thoughtful videos, and I appreciate that. Not that like that matters at the size of channel that he's at or whatever. But yeah, sometimes it's nice to see someone actually do something good and go like, "Hey, look, it is possible indeed." Yeah, that's nice to know. I also need to. I might start reading The Innkeeper's Song finally over the weekend. I have the audiobook now. I'm very happy about that. And then I fell into this whole like history rabbit hole and have been reading nonfiction, and yeah. But what with both the Summer of Fire and Blood and the second part of the Oliver Cromwell biography coming out next week, I guess I'll. If I don't read it now, I don't know when I will get to it, and that's obviously something terrible for a 50-year-old book. In general, I've seen there's a bunch of like older books finally getting audiobooks this year, where I'm very happy. The Innkeeper's Song, of course, the Budain Nights novella short story collection by George Alec Effinger, which collects a couple of short stories, but also I think it includes the unfinished fourth Marit Odran novel as well. That is getting an audiobook this year. I'm very happy for that. Poul Anderson's Space Vikings. No, I'm confusing it. Poul Anderson's High Crusade. I confused it with H.B. Piper's Space Vikings. The High Crusade is getting an audiobook later this year. That's really cool. Yeah. Nice to see that someone has decided that it might be worth their time doing some older audiobooks. And from what I can tell, at least the Buddha Nights and Innkeeper's Song are also not narrated by AI voice. I've seen a lot of Roger Zelazny books being put out with like virtual voice, and there's obviously issues with all forms of AI and so forth. But if I have the choice between these, well, by now fairly well done audio virtual voice things and no audiobook, I'm still taking it. So maybe time to read some of the more obscure Roger Zelazny too. Yeah, yeah. Well, I empathize with you for the work thing. I hope it will be bearable. And yeah, yeah, that's the point. It's just responsible to do that because especially down there. From what I can tell, the closest bus stop to the dentist. And I've never been to this specific dentist because it's a specialist for like the surgery shit. The next bus stop is the one at Marburg Südbahnhof, which is a huge ass bus stop with like 3 different uh, platforms and a lot of streets and shit. And that's not something I want to navigate while while still somewhat zonked out. Right? That's maybe not the best thing I should do. Right? Anyway, yeah. I also looked up the details for the whole like protest thing on Sunday. It seems to be one of those like let's demonstrate that the public is still that there is still a public kind of thing. Very very much more like a symbolic thing than anything else. So probably easy, and I'll just get down there, hang out, listen to a couple of usually very very tame speeches by some people, and then go back home. Maybe depending on how I feel after the dentist thing, maybe. I mean, obviously, I'm meeting with friends there for the whole thing, so possibly have a beer. Who knows? So yeah, that's happening on Sunday. So yeah, I guess I'll force myself to come up with a cool title for the pirate video, and then just put it out and fuck it, because who cares? At the end of the day, I feel that I might you know I need to find a way to just accept that while I could always make videos much better and much more detailed, get more stuff right, and all of that, there is a limit to how far I should push this, especially specifically for like books that will not that very few people will talk about, right? Like, there's obviously like a larger pressure if I would make a video for, say, Fourth Wing, just to pick an example, right? If I would make a video on Fourth Wing, I'm pretty sure that uh, I, I would feel the pressure to get shit right more, because there will be a larger audience for that. There will be more people going over it and pick every single possible thing to get mad about. Uh, to get mad about in the comments. So giving people as little as possible is, more important thing there than it is for, a video about the pirates where, yeah, I could talk about this book for like 2-3 hours, but I can talk about almost any book for 2-3 hours. So there's going to be stuff left out, even though the video is like almost half an hour long. So, maybe, maybe I need to find a way to sort of like treat different videos differently. And something irks me about that. I don't know exactly what it is, but something makes it feels wrong to think about these things in that way, right? And you're like, well, clearly this book is worth more detail and nuance than this book, and I'm like, why am I sort of like classifying books by how much attention I will pay them? That feels wrong. Yes, exactly, Apollo. Exactly, Apollo. Studbahnhof is a really fucked up. Like the whole thing is just really weird, weirdly constructed. It's really annoying. But it's yeah, it's a bridge. I've unfortunately also taken that bridge often because especially when I come back home from Frankfurt late, it's the station I have to take if I want to catch the last bus up to my lonely mountain here. So um, yeah, uh, not when it comes to city planning, urban planning, and traffic design. It's not necessarily the best place for pedestrians. To say nothing about accessibility, because that bridge over the rail tracks over to the other side is not accessible for not wheelchair accessible. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, it's not. You don't have a ramp on the other side. You only have that the stairs, and yeah, bad place. So yeah, shall we do the second sprint where I come up with a fun thing, a fun title for the pirate video, and then you know, figure out my life. On the one hand, I'm a bit nervous about the dentist thing. On the other hand, at least it's over with, and then I'll have the next dentist appointment on Monday, which means I can like I it's one of the things that has been like weighing on me over the last weeks is that it puts me in this weird sort of like limbo, this holding pattern where I'm sitting here and like I want to do these and these things, but I because I have decided that making the Mormonism video is one where I should pay attention and possibly, unfortunately, also have to at least think about the effect that looking um, uh, you know, giving people reasons to hate me for classist reasons and more ableist reasons, is maybe counterproductive. So I've decided to hold off on that big project until the tooth is fixed. But you know, having to wait for things to happen that I can't, speed up in any way or form is obviously incredibly frustrating to me. I'm not a very patient person in that regard, at least, and yeah. So at least having that next step over with is something, and then hopefully Monday, Tuesday, whenever I will have the next. I have like the next deadline, so I know how things will, you know, continue from there on, and that's a good thing, obviously. So maybe things will get slightly better. Who knows? All right, so let's do the sprint thing. I'll be back at 10 past again. Yes, 10 past the next hour. And yeah, maybe someone will still be there. Maybe not. We'll find out. And I am back. How did you guys do? Hey, Kale. Sorry. How you doing? Good evening and all of that. Thanks for all the good wishes and all of that, Apollo. If you're still listening, well, I'm not exactly nervous about the actual appointment. I mean, it's not going to be too bad. I assume the root itself obviously has been dead for like years, so it doesn't. There's no pain in that regard. Obviously, surgery always hurts, so yeah. I think like the biggest challenge because I've never been to that specific dentist. Finding the way there is probably the biggest challenge, but I'm pretty sure I'll get that also figured out, and yeah, stuff should work out that way. Well, I mean that's the evening. Maybe a bit early to be sleepy, but I assume you had a busy day. Ready to start the weekend, I hope. Yeah, so I checked my connections. I know which bus to take to get, or which connection to take to be there in time. And yeah, guess we'll find out how much of a face I have left once I'm back from this later this afternoon. So should be interesting. Uh, Beyond that, I did publish and share and all of that the pirate video, the pirates. So that one is out. Um, yeah, looked at some, did some preliminary new research on Mormonism stuff. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. Certainly something I hope to return to relatively soon. So yeah. Now that sounds fun. Go-karting is a lot of fun. Um, so I hope you have fun with that one. Yeah, I guess I'll slowly wind this down so I have, time to get to the bus, get down into town, and get to the dentist to get that whole situation at least looked at some more, and we'll see where that is going. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it every time. Go watch the Pirates video if you want to hear me talk about a book that maybe 5 people have read. And maybe there will be well, I mean, go-karting is noisy, that's true, but it can definitely be a lot of fun. Yeah, maybe there will be another video over the weekend, but that, as I said, really, really depends on how the whole surgery thing works out, because, I don't know that. Yeah, right. That's the plan for now, and yeah, I hope you have a good weekend, everybody. Get to do cool shit. Get to do fun things. If there is stuff work, then I hope the work over the weekend won't be too hard. And yeah, I talk to you about something somewhere in the next couple of days, and should should I be unable to sprint on Monday, I will let you know about that one also in advance, of course. I always say that and then I never do it, but I'll try to post like a community tab thing if I can't make sprints on Monday. So yeah, see you guys somewhere.